In this video, I'm going to show you how to work a 1x1 tubular cast on. First, you need a tail which is about 3 times the length that you have to cast on. And then you hold it over your thumb, the tail over your thumb. Then you form a triangle like this. And then you put your needle on top of it, you twist it. This is your first stitch. Then you will be working over these 2 strands of yarn. First you go under the strand near to you to pick up a stitch from the one farther away from you. Then you do the opposite, you go under the strand of yarn to pick up 1 stitch from the one near to you. And so on until you have the number of stitches you need. Right now I've got 3 stitches, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you go under it to pick it up, 8, 9, 10. So basically you go under one of the 2 strands to pick up a stitch from the other one. And how many stitches do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10. If you don't remember which strand that you have to work with now, for example here, I cannot pick up another stitch. I cannot pick up another stitch here. I will undo the previous one, so I must work with the other one. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And after this row, before you start working, you have to work 2 setup rows. You turn it. If you take a look, you can actually see that the first stitch should be a purl stitch, the second stitch should be a knit stitch, the first stitch should be a purl stitch, and so on. So you are just going to purl the first stitch. And the second stitch, instead of knitting it, you just slip it. You purl another stitch and you slip another stitch. So basically, you're purling all the purl stitches and slipping all the knit stitches. But instead of slipping a stitch purlwise, you're slipping it through the back leg of the stitch, okay? Okay, we are almost at the end. We slip the last stitch. Then we turn our work, and again we start with a purl stitch. The number of stitches you cast on has to be an even number, because we are working with 1x1 cast on. So you purl the first stitch, then you slip the second stitch. Now instead of slipping through the back leg, you can just slip it purlwise. Purl 1 stitch, you slip the next stitch until you are at the end of your stitches. When you're at the last stitch, you slip it. So for the next row, you can begin, if you are knitting flat, you can just begin knitting by purling the first stitch and knitting the second stitch, and so on. If you're working around, you just distribute the stitches to begin working the round. Now I have so few stitches that I can't work in the round, but it's exactly the same. It doesn't change anything.